Yo, what is up everyone? Kyrios here, and today we're going to cover this world boss drop rate that was recently posted. Now, I guess some data mining has happened, or they have figured out the data mining from the CN version to the US version to know what those drop rates are. I want to cover this because, you know, I have covered matrices, I've covered a world boss priority guide, and I just want to just lay the foundation so you still are on stable footing here. So if you guys can, hit that like and subscribe, check out the Tower of Fantasy playlists, and let's get started. Guys, let's go ahead and get started. We're in game, which by the way, we just recently hit level 50. Very excited about that. As you guys know, there are multiple world bosses in this game. There's at least I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6 in the starting aisle, and then when we finally get the artificial island, we will have that dragon boss, which is going to allow us to get Samir's Matrix, which Samir's Matrix is one of the best matrices out there. So I'm going to flash this on screen. Guys, if you can, go check out the world boss priority guide, because no matter what I say here, this is really good information, but no matter what I say here, that world boss priority does not change, even with the numbers I'm about to show you. So recently, so I was actually working on my Frig guide. We'll have that out tomorrow for you, depending on when you're watching this. But they recently released this world boss drops. Now, I just want to get ahead of the game because there's going to be a lot of information out there. As you can see, I'm just scrolling through this. Like here, you can see Robarg, which has that King Matrix, has a 1.3% drop rate with a special fall rate of 2.0. I'll talk about special fall rate in just a minute. But you can see that's 1.3 to get an SSR weapon, and 2.6 to 2% to 2.6 depending on your level. Now, if you go all the way down, and we'll take all of these, we'll take all these one by one. These are actually 2.0 bosses. These ones are 2.0 bosses. We won't really cover those, but we'll stop at all the beginning bosses. And you can see at Barbosa, the one you have now, it goes all the way up to 1.5%. Now that's a 0.2%. Now that is huge. It is very huge, especially when you get to the special fall and you get up to 3%. And then that Meryl Matrix is up to 3.3. But remember, all these matrices are not created equal. And even all the SR matrices are not created equal. So I just want to quickly cover this real quick. Obviously, Robarg is the first boss you're going to fight. He's going to have that King Matrix. He's going to have that Robarg Matrix, which are two of some of the best matrices out there. Now, unfortunately, as this list does show, it's a 1.3% drop rate instead of a 1.5, and it's a 2.6 drop rate compared to a 3.3% Meryl drop rate. But in all honesty, it doesn't matter what that drop rate is, just because you're really not going to, unless you're a primary tank, which is very hard to build tank right now, you're really not going to do that. So I just want to go through this real quick. You can see Apo has the same drop rate here, that Tsubasa Matrix. Once again, Tsubasa Matrix only really good for Tsubasa. So you're only going to get it if you are maining Tsubasa as a primary DPS. And you would actually replace that with Sakifua, once again, in my Matrix guide review. And I'm actually gonna flash to something that Ada Cafe put together, which is almost spot on to the video I created as well. Let's go on through. Frostbite, you start getting 1.4%, so you have a 0.1% chance of getting a better SSR. Human's Matrix, once again, only really good for tanks and very, very situational. And you would really have the 4 pieces to be a tank at that point, and it gets a little dicey there. Frostbite Matrix, not that good. Apo Matrix, once again, not the greatest either. Now, Sobek's Matrix is really good. So this one is actually really good. So moving up to Sobek, goes up to 1.4%. Crow's Matrix 2-piece is actually really good if you watch that guide. Once again, yada, yada, yada. Goes up to 2.8%, so you have a 0.4% upgrade there. And then you have Sobek's Matrix, and Sobek's Matrix is actually really, really good. And just to point that out real quick, if you guys are struggling with damage, say you're a Volt team, I actually use Sobek's Matrix on my Samir. So here I have my Samir, and this is actually what I use for her. I mainly run that Sobek because it increases damage dealt by 6% for each enemy nearby, up to 3 stacks. It's actually a really, it's probably the best, besides the shield breaking one, it's probably the best DPS SR Matrix out there. One of the good ones to get, and especially if you're going to go after a Crow 2-piece, which is good on a decent amount of people, not the worst thing to do. All right, going back here, going over to Lucia. Now, Lucia is really good. Kyrios Matrix, two-piece Matrix is really good as well. And it actually gets up to 3%. So, honestly, I think this is your best bang for buck Matrix. Now, Echo's Matrix is very situational, but can be good, could be good on a lot of different healers, can be good on a lot of different supports. You can even put it on Meryl. It's actually a better Matrix on Meryl than Meryl's, unless you have the 4-piece of Meryl. You can put it on your tanks too, because you're swapping them in and out. Now, Shiro's Matrix, what I currently run. So on my Meryl, I currently run 2-piece Shiro. I've gotten very lucky with Matrixes, and I've gotten very lucky from some of the pities of Matrixes as well. And I've actually pulled double Shiro off of Lucia, so I've had some pretty good drop rates. But you can see it increases both damage and shatter to targets with more than 50% HP by 15%. Absolutely amazing. Now, the 4-piece is very situational, but a 2-piece Meryl, my ideal for Meryl or King or any of my shield shatters would be 2-piece Shiro and then 2-piece King. It just goes such a long way. Now, you could use this weapon as a tank, but you're really using it just to lay down some massive shield shattering. So this is one of the best bosses you can do. Now, Barbossa does have the highest drop rate at 1.5% and then at that 3.3% Meryl, but Meryl's Matrix is just, it's so situational and is pretty at the bottom of the barrel. Now, you could put a 2-piece on your healers, you could put a 2-piece on Meryl. It's not the worst Matrix in the world, but there's just better Matrixes that you can do, but a 2-piece isn't the worst. Now, I'm not a big fan of Barbossa's Matrix as well. Upon switching weapon, get a damage reflection for 3 seconds with a cooldown of 30 seconds. That's very hard to manage. It is very, very hard to manage. So I am very not a fan of that SR Matrix. So no matter what the percentage drop rate is, yes, you get a 0.2% drop rate increase from Robarg to Barbossa. But if you start getting these Matrixes, they're not really going to help you. They're not going to help you do more damage in Bygones. They're not going to help you do more damage in dungeons. They're not going to help you proceed as your career. So just because it has a higher drop rate for the SSR doesn't mean it's a good boss to do. So I really just want to drive that home. And I want you guys to be very careful that you're thinking about this. Now, if we were able to figure out what this special fall is, maybe it is worth it when you get to 3%. But then even then, you would need what's 100? You need 33 gold ciphers to guarantee one drop, right, in whatever that special fall may be. And I'll talk about that in just a second. But the one I do want to point out is Frost Dragon. When that does come out, if you've seen my Matrix guide, again, you know that this is the #1 to farm because it does have that 1.5% drop rate. It does have that Samir Matrix at 3.3%. It does have that Pepper Matrix, and Pepper Matrix is actually really, really good as well, especially if you can limit break it and just put it on a random weapon that you need to swap in, do a little bit of damage, and swap out for your other weapons because you're using them to ult. But that Samir Matrix is just absolutely killer, absolutely killer. You could put 2-piece on every single weapon if you wanted to, stack it up 10 times. But if you get multiple, and you can limit break that, where you can stack it 20 times, get a 20% damage increase. God, that's going to be good. And if you are a main Samir, 4-piece is really good, but just that 2-piece is just good on everyone. You could put it literally on everyone. You could put it on King with 2-piece King, right? You could put it on Shiro. Shiro is going to do a lot more damage because she hits really, really quickly. You could put it on Samir. You could put it on Tsubasa. You could put it on Crow. You could put it on so many people that this is literally one of the best starting matrices that you can get. So until that dragon comes out, just be very careful that you don't go do Barbossa and a few others. Lucia, really good. So I was all over the place in that video, guys. Hopefully that helped there. Now, I do want to talk about this special fall just really quickly. Okay, so talking about that special fall real quick, I think we actually might be in that special fall right now, which once again, if you look at that special fall, you have that 2%, you have that 2%, you have that 5% it goes up to, where it actually goes all the way up to. Funny enough, it only goes up to 5% for everyone. So isn't that pretty interesting? Isn't that pretty interesting? I think that's pretty interesting. But I honestly think we have the special fall right now. And the reason I say that, not just because this guy got super lucky, listen, we're all super jealous of you right now. Congratulations, but the reason I say that is that there's some interesting wording in the Tower of Fantasy Twitter, is that they say if you haven't done the most recent event that's right now, you can get even more rewards than usual. I think that's a whole bunch of fluff, in all honesty, because I think they're really just talking about the package with the points you can get and getting those red nuclei and getting a bunch of the other items. Go over to the themed event, go into here, and I think it's talking mainly about this: getting the red nuclei, getting the colossal arm, getting the joint supply ships, getting those weapon augments, getting those crystal chunks, blah 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 blah. And just my final TLDR, with my experience that I've had in the CN with killing multiple bosses, you really, a lot of those base matrices do stand the test of time if you don't get limited matrices. My tier list is almost 100% accurate that you will continue to use those all the way into 2.0. Now, limiteds will always trump them out typically, but hopefully that helped you out. Let me know in the comments. Did that clear it up? Was that a whole bunch of fluff? I don't even know. I was hoping I could just give you guys a little bit of guidance to make sure you guys are staying on the right track. And I'll see you guys on the next video. Once again, hit that like and subscribe. I do appreciate you, and fist bump from me to you.